Hi, my name is Shelby Norris. This is my week 9, chapter 10 discussion post. So number 1, the first question is, why are college students not seeking help on mental health issues? I think one of the biggest challenges and concerns around seeking help is, especially for us specifically, is feeling pressure to appear successful or independent, because in college right now we're in a pivotal time in our lives where we feel like, it's our grown-up time where it's time to be grown up and figure things out, because this is a big chapter of our lives and leads up to an even bigger chapter. So I feel like a lot of college students, since they want to look like they're okay and they're growing up well, that they want to just handle their struggles on their own and not go get help and talk to people who actually know more than them. I think that's a hard concept to grasp when, you're struggling, but it's like a tough time to be struggling. A lot of this can be pressure that you're academics aren't going well how you expected them to, how if you can't make money well enough, because we're in the time where we are having to be independent, and not managing all of those things together, it can make things really hard, but it's also difficult to, admit that you need help, especially in this pivotal time. I also feel like since we are older now, that some college students may have already gone to therapy or had different mental health care, and so now they have bad past experiences with it, and so they feel like if they go to a college therapist or go to a therapist again, that it'll just be the same thing, and they won't get the good help that they need. And I think that people forget that there's all kinds of different therapists out there and lots of different people that could actually help them, so then they feel kind of skeptical about going back and trying again. Or honestly, it could just be one of those things where, obviously there's some people who know that they probably need to go see a therapist because they have difficult things going on in life, but there are also people who don't feel like they have struggles that are strong enough or important enough to go seek help. If they haven't had something traumatic happen to them, then maybe they feel like going to a therapist just isn't worth it, but they don't understand that going through a therapist or going to get help with their mental health, no matter what happened to them or what they've been through or how they feel, is still important. And counselors and therapists can help with all kinds of different things. And so I don't think that college students should feel that their problem isn't serious enough, but of course that's always going to happen. I personally relate to that one. For a while I didn't want to go to therapy because I was like, this isn't even that big of a deal, but comparatively speaking, it affected me, but things might not affect other people different ways. But so I feel like that's probably an issue. Moving on, number 2, what are some stigmas against mental health issues and mental health therapies that I've heard, and where do I think that these stigmas even came from? I think I want to go back to my last point of my problems aren't big enough to go to therapy. I think that therapy kind of has stigma that it's only for people who are broken or completely traumatized or falling apart, and that mental health is only for people who have severe mental illnesses, and that's not the case. And I think that stigma kind of makes it to where people and college students and other people don't want to go to therapy. So I think that if we got rid of the stigma that you can go to therapy and not even have anything wrong, you can literally just go to therapy to talk to somebody and be like, hey, I'm in college and I'm about to be an adult, help me, how do I get through this, do you have any tips, tricks, or things that I could do to make my experience better? You don't even have to have a problem to go, but we have such a stigma around mental health care that now people don't think that they should go unless they are actually falling apart or in a crisis. I think that another mental health issue right now is that it's weakness, it's a personal weakness that if you go to mental health and you've given up and you don't want to try to pull yourself out of this hole, which totally isn't the case. Like I said, it can be not even a problem at all, but it's a great resource to use. So I think that people think that they've just not tried hard enough themselves, and it's personal weakness. They aren't good enough to do life by themselves. I think that's a huge stigma. It also could be a cultural thing. There's some cultures that think that therapy's a no, you should do it yourself, and just toughen up and handle your own stuff. Which I think the stigma is another reason that people don't actually go to therapy. And if we could get rid of this stigma, which leads us into question 3, is how do we stop these stigmas against mental health? We could reframe therapy as just a personal growth tool and something that we can go to just make ourselves better, that it doesn't have to be that you're broken to go to therapy, but you can be fine and you can just grow. Even the people who are broken, you're growing from your situation, you can grow from therapy as well. So if we were to just completely reframe therapy altogether, this doesn't only have to be crisis management, it can also be, you know, self-improvement. It's like, could be like a checkup thing. Like, imagine, like, we go to the doctor when we're having problems, but we also go to the doctor when we just need checkups. So if we could reframe it to where, like, you can use therapy as just a checkup, but you can also go when you know, have something wrong, I think that would help the stigma a lot. I also think that we need to talk about mental health a lot more than we already do. I mentioned in one of my discussions, replying to one of my peers, that I did a big project on mental health and how resources aren't available. And in this project, I talked about how Kennesaw has so many resources that are free. So finances are sometimes a big stigma that, you know, therapy is so expensive, don't do that. But it's really not. We have resources on our campus and people don't know about it. So if we talked about it more, if we put more resources out there that were accessible for people to get, then I think that the stigma for mental health would come down. I mean, if people would just talk about it more, like hearing personal stories about mental health and how they went and got help and it's better, will make other people want to as well. So that's my 2 cents on this week's discussion. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week.